Welcome to Shatterdice Gaming. Today's review is Metal Gear Solid, the board game.
Metal Gear Solid is a tactical miniatures game for 1 to 4 players from Cool Mini or Not. The game puts a heavy focus on stealth through strategic movement and enemy behaviour, dependent on their miniatures facing, denoted by this sculpted arrow on their miniatures base. The game is based on the PlayStation video game Metal Gear Solid, and follows the adventure of legendary covert ops soldier Solid Snake as he seeks to infiltrate the nuclear disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island. The base has been taken over by Snake's old unit, Foxhound, who are now a rogue terrorist cell. Their purpose? To take control of the secret Metal Gear project taking place at the base. The newly created Metal Gear Rex is a giant armoured bipedal vehicle armed with a railgun that can launch nuclear projectiles across the globe, undetected by radar. Snake has been sent in to stop them, and this is where the game begins.
Snake here. I've opened the box. Now what do I do?
Alright Snake, let's get you set up. First, open the Shadow Moses campaign book to the page containing the setup guide for the stage you are about to play. For now, that is Stage 1. Stage 1 and 2 are both tutorial stages that will teach you how to play the game as you go. Let's begin with setting up your play area. First, check the player count for the stage, shown here. This shows you how many players can take part in this game and which of the 4 player characters are available to use. For Stage 1, the player limit is 1 and the only character available is Solid Snake. More characters, such as Meryl Silverberg, Grey Fox and Otacon, will become available in later stages. Setup is the same for all characters, so for now we will just look at Snake. First, take Snake's player mat and the matching miniature. Then take these focus tokens and place them here, face up. Then collect 4 action tokens with Snake's image printed on them and place them beside the mat. Now lastly, take any starting equipment the character has from this deck of starting cards. In Snake's case, he does not start with any equipment.
You mean I don't get any weapons for this mission?
Once the player mat is set up, you begin setting up the stage. Take the map tiles shown here and place them as shown. Then place any tokens in the indicated spaces and any guard miniatures on the indicated spaces. Then place Snake's miniature in the starting space. The board is now set up and you are almost ready to begin. But first, we need to set up the guard patrols.
What about the guards? Does another player control them?
The guards are controlled by a card-based AI system. To set this up, collect the guard track and place it on the table. Then collect the indicated number of guard reaction cards. Shuffle and place them in this spot on the guard track. Next, take the guard orders cards indicated in the stage setup guide of the campaign book. You'll notice there are 7 of these red guard order cards, and all the rest have this blue border. The blue bordered cards are randomly shuffled, and a certain number are put into the deck according to the setup guide. The 7 red cards are shuffled and placed at the bottom. The guard deck acts as a timer as well as controlling the guard's movements. If you reveal this red guard order card with the game over symbol on, then you have run out of time and the game ends in failure. This means while the red bordered cards let you know that you are running out of time, you do not know exactly how much time you have left. It could be up to 7 turns, but it might be just 1. So when you see the guard order cards have a red border, you really need to be getting a move on. Once you have shuffled the red bordered cards, shuffle the indicated number of blue bordered cards and place the blue bordered cards on top of the red stack. Then place the entire stack in this space here. The game is now set up and ready to go.
I'm ready to start the mission, but how do I play my turn?
On your turn, you can spend up to 4 action tokens to perform any of the actions listed on the character mat or equipment cards. Most characters have the same basic actions, except for Otacon. Otacon is a non-combat character, and so his player mat features actions that allow him to hack terminals. Snake and the others, however, have combat-based actions for takedowns and combos to take out the guards. Each character also has unique special abilities listed along the bottom of their character card here, and some have unique actions listed here, such as Snake's silent takedown ability. This ability allows you to kill a guard without making noise. This icon here means you replace the guard miniature with one of these skull tokens to represent the guard's dead body. Be careful leaving these around, as if other guards see them, they will be alerted by it. Notice the silent takedown has this number 2 next to it. This means it costs 2 actions to perform a silent takedown. Most other actions, aside from the combo attack, only cost 1 action token to perform. Other than silent takedown, the combat actions do not kill guards. Instead, they knock them unconscious, as denoted by this symbol here. If a guard is knocked out, they will eventually regain consciousness. If another guard moves into line of sight of an unconscious guard, they will investigate the unconscious body and usually wake them up.
So if I knock out too many guards, they'll get suspicious.
If another guard moves into line of sight of an unconscious or dead guard or an attention token, you will draw a guard reaction card. We will cover these later.
Line of sight, huh? How does that work?
Let's take a moment to look at how this game determines line of sight, as it is quite a unique system. First, determine the guard's facing, denoted by the arrow on the plastic base. If the guard is facing towards the target character, draw an invisible box around the outside of each miniature, as shown here. This box is the guard's field of vision. If any walls or obstacles on the board, indicated by these heavy black or red lines, are present in the vision box, the line of sight is blocked. If not, then the guard can see the target square. This is the same for characters determining their line of sight. This is quite a unique line of sight mechanic I haven't seen before, and while it is a very quick and effective way to determine line of sight in most cases, I have come across a few situations where it can be a bit confusing as to whether the guard has line of sight or not. This is mostly down to a very limited number of examples presented in the rulebook. Now, let's get back to those actions. In addition to combat actions, each character has 2 types of move action, sneak and dash. Sneaking allows you to move 1 space in a cardinal direction, up, down, left or right. In Metal Gear Solid the board game, unless stated otherwise, all movement, guard facings, attack actions, etc. are done in the cardinal directions, not diagonally. This includes the dash action, which allows you to move 2 spaces. However, notice this icon here next to the action. This means it is a noisy action. When a character makes a noisy action, at the end of their turn, they must perform a noise check. To do this, collect one of these white dice for each noisy action performed during the turn. So if you sneak 3 times and dash once, collect 1 white die. If you dash 3 times and sneak once, collect 3 white dice. If any white die rolls this exclamation point, then you have drawn attention to yourself. Place the attention token for your character underneath your miniature with the blue side facing up. This token is also placed under your miniature anytime you roll an exclamation point for any reason. This is perhaps the most important token in the game, and we will get onto why that is in just a moment. First, we will look at some of the other, more specific actions available to you. Drag body allows you to pick up an unconscious or dead guard, move 1 space, and drop the body in an adjacent space, useful for hiding them from the other patrols. Knock is an action that specifically allows you to place your attention token on the blue side in your space. Why do this? In the right circumstances, it gives you some control over the guard's movements, luring them one way so you can sneak past the other. And lastly, the focus action allows you to refresh your focus tokens. These are a set of tokens unique to each character that grant bonuses and allow dice manipulation. When you spend one, you must flip it to the grayed out side, and before you can use it again, you must spend a number of actions equal to this number listed here to flip it back to the active side. As you can see, Snake's tokens allow him to re-roll any of the dice he just rolled, modify a single die by +2 or by -2, or he can use this token to sneak 1 space or reduce the white dice rolled by 1. These are the key to success in your mission, so it's best you find a safe place and use your focus action to refresh them regularly.
Got it. I know how my turn works, but what about the guards?
The guard's behaviour is controlled by these 2 decks, the guard orders deck and the guard reaction deck. First, let's take a look at the orders deck. Each card is divided into 3 sections. This top section most commonly has this symbol indicating the guard's radio in. This means if ever a game zone, denoted in the rulebook by this orange border, has fewer guards than the number printed on the guard station section of a tile, shown here, then a new guard spawns on the radio symbol printed on the board. Sometimes, instead of radioing in, you may see this symbol, which means any unconscious guard gets one step closer to waking up. The middle section of the card informs you if a surveillance camera rotates its field of vision.
A surveillance camera?
These aren't present in every stage, but unlike guards, they stay in one place and cannot be knocked out or killed. Their facing is always either towards this orange edge on their token or this green edge. When a guard order shows this symbol, players should flip over this camera reference token to track whether the orange or green edge is the active facing of the cameras. Then we have the bottom section of the order card. This is divided into two parts. The left part tells us that if a guard is in alert mode, they will move this many spaces towards the nearest attention token on the board, with its red side facing up. The right section of this order tells us that any guard in investigate mode moves this many spaces towards the nearest attention token with its blue side facing up, or towards a dead body or unconscious guard if they have line of sight to them. If a guard is in patrol mode, then they move a number of spaces equal to the blue number along a straight line. If the guard ends their movement on one of these symbols, rotate them left or right towards a new path. If it is ever unclear which way a guard should turn, they follow the direction of the blue arrow printed on the guard order card. Now, let's look at the reaction deck. This is where those attention tokens we have been talking about come into play. When activating guards, you do so by beginning in the top left corner of the board. Then, going row by row, you activate each guard. By default, they are in patrol mode. But if they are the closest guard to a blue attention token, they will enter investigate mode. If the attention token is showing its red side, then all guards enter alert mode. Now, here is the clever part. This attention token does not follow your character every time they move, meaning it is possible for guards to be investigating or have their attention drawn by a token that lures them away to a different part of the board. The attention token is only removed from the board when a guard enters its space. When this happens, draw a reaction card. A reaction card has 4 sections, each designated by a symbol matching the token they are reacting to. The investigate section, the alert section, unconscious and dead guard sections. Read and apply the text listed next to the icon that matches the token the guard has stepped on. Often this removes the token, but there are a few surprises in here too, so be on the lookout. Of course, this all goes out the window if at any point and for any reason a guard gains line of sight to a character. If this happens in the player turn, immediately place the alerted attention token under the miniature. If the guard gains line of sight during the guard turn, then not only is the alert token placed, but the guard also makes an attack against the character. This brings us onto attacking. More specifically, guard attacks and using weapons such as this one.
Good. You found a SOCOM. That's a Special Operations Command pistol. It's a 45 caliber pistol with plenty of stopping power. It's also equipped with a LAM for nighttime combat.
When a guard attacks a player, they attack with 2 of these black 6-sided dice shown on the guard track. Roll the dice and compare them with the target's defense value shown here. Each die result equal or higher than the defense value inflicts 1 point of damage. Each player character only has 4 health points, so you can die very quickly in this game. Going in guns blazing will quickly get you to the game over screen.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
When players attack, they use the unarmed attack actions on their player mat, which deal knockout damage. If you attack using a weapon card action, then the action cost and number of dice rolled are printed on the card. Most weapons have the keyword loud printed on them, which means as soon as you fire one, place the attention token under your miniature. Some weapons also have use limits, indicated by these bullet tokens, such as Merrill's assault rifle. If you fire this weapon 3 times, you cannot use it for the rest of the stage, unless you find a way to replenish the ammunition tokens. Attacking with a weapon causes regular damage, instead of knockout damage. This means if you deal damage equal to the guard's health, place one of these skull tokens in the figure's space, instead of the knocked out token shown here. Needless to say, these guards won't get back up after revealing guard order cards.
So if I get my hands on a weapon, I can take out the guards permanently.
But remember, other guards will investigate bodies and are likely to become more suspicious and call in reinforcements to replace them. So knocking out and killing the guards both have their advantages and drawbacks. That's everything you need to know to play a sneaking stage, but there are also boss stages.
Boss stage? What's that?
Throughout the course of the Shadow Moses campaign, you will have to fight various boss enemies from the Foxhound units. Each boss has specific rules and mechanics that change the way the game plays. These mechanics are all explained in the setup pages for the boss stage. These stages do a really good job of emulating their video game counterparts, such as Revolver Ocelot zipping around the map and ricocheting his bullets off the walls to hit you, even when you think you are out of his line of sight, or Sniper Wolf, who you engage in a pitched sniper battle with a hidden location mechanic. I won't go into too much details on these stages, but I will say fighting Psycho Mantis is probably one of the most exhilarating board game experiences I have had. A boss stage follows a very basic setup outside of the unique mechanics on the setup pages. Simply take the deck of cards specific to the boss you are fighting and set them up as instructed in the campaign book. Then, take the boss-specific action cards and place one on each character mat, so it covers the right-hand portion of their actions, as shown here. These boss actions are specific to each boss, such as the aim action card used when fighting Sniper Wolf. Not all boss stages have a unique action to use, but most do, and these are usually critical to defeating that boss. You will also need the matching boss mat that lists their special abilities. Once this is done, it is a simple matter of the players take their turns, and then the boss takes its turn by drawing a card from its deck and resolving the behaviour listed on it. It is worth mentioning, when the boss deck is empty, you do not shuffle their cards to form a new deck. Instead, you just flip them over and draw from the top. This means the bosses use a repeated pattern of behaviour that players can learn and exploit to give them the edge in battle.
Got it. I know everything I need to complete the mission, but now, can you tell me about the good, the bad, and the ugly?
The good. This game's theme and emulation of its video game counterpart is fantastic. It might just be nostalgia, but in many ways, playing Metal Gear Solid in this board game format made me feel like I was 10 years old again, playing the game for the first time on my PlayStation. The high point of this was fighting Psycho Mantis. For those of you familiar with the video game, you will know that the game was cleverly programmed to use fourth wall breaking information and techniques for how to beat him, and I was curious if the board game would do a similar thing. I am pleased to say it did not disappoint and provided me one of the most fun and exciting experiences I have had playing any board game. The game also utilises a lot of dice rolling mechanics, but provides a sufficient number of methods to manipulate dice and limit the artificial difficulty of this game. You will not be in a situation where a boss fight or a task is only a challenge simply because you must roll a natural 6. The sneaking stages are great. Guards patrol in a way that is just predictable enough to let you strategize and plan your route, but with enough variation in their behavior to make some of your actions and movements quite risky. The game feels like a true stealth experience, where 9 times out of 10, the guards are chasing you because you weren't willing to wait for a turn to see which way the guard rotated. It really is tactical movement and patience that will see you through each sneaking stage. The attention token is a great way to influence the guard's behavior too, and coupled with the knock action, it really brings out the Metal Gear Solid flavour in this game that was so present in the video game, where you would distract guards and find sneaky ways to get around them. Then there are the boss stages. Each one brings to life the character you are fighting, and uses those clever and unique mechanics that make each boss stage feel special. In many games like this, a boss is just another enemy who has a bit of extra health and an attack that does a bit more damage. That is not the case here. These bosses are unique and interesting. Then there is the VR missions book. 14 stages retelling the Shadow Moses incident, not enough for you? Well, the VR mission book has what you need. A series of one-off missions, each of which utilizes up to all 4 characters. Many of the bosses also have a special, simplified VR variant that allows you to take them on. They lack the depth of the campaign variants, but are still a nice addition. Also, when completing VR missions, you will unlock new equipment that can be used during the campaign, so there is a definite reason to play through these. The miniatures are fantastic. Each sculpt is finely detailed and really brings these characters to life. The cards, dice and tokens are also of great quality. This game is just an all-round, high-quality, well-thought-out product. It's worth every penny. I hope those who have the integral edition of the game find just as much quality in both the graphic novel pages, linking the stages together, and the Metal Gear Rex miniature for that epic final boss fight. These 2 things were not included in the base version, which I have here. The bad. Well, I have to say, the rulebook could have done with a bit more clarity in some areas. I mentioned line of sight earlier, and how it is quite an unusual mechanic. This could have done with a bit more explanation and examples, especially when it comes to determining what a surveillance camera can and cannot see, based on its facing. The rulebook also badly needs an index. Lots of little rules appear in places you might not expect them. The player count also needs to be mentioned here, as the game makes a few allowances to the video game plot to allow for multiple players on stages where in the video game Snake would have been very much by himself. The bad part here is that the campaign consists of 14 stages. Of those, you do not have access to more than 2 characters until you reach stage 10, and even then, not all the remaining stages incorporate all 4 characters. This means the game isn't really going to be a full experience for 4 players, and is probably best played either solo or with 2 players. It's still a fantastic experience solo. I completed the entire campaign in about a week and a half by myself because I was enjoying it so much. But it is a shame that you cannot get together with 3 friends to play through the whole experience. The ugly. This game doesn't really have many ugly points. It went far beyond my expectations of what I hoped would be a fun stealth action game, and feared would be a shameless IP touting cash grab. I am pleased to say it exceeded all my hopes, but there is 1 or 2 things I feel are a bit lacking. The VR mission book provides 6 extra missions, but could have so easily been designed to incorporate a VR mission generator for endless gameplay using random tile setups and objectives. Also, whilst most of the components are fantastic quality, the game boards themselves feel a little flimsy and are just a few millimeters short of that high quality feel and weight that helps give them that little bit of extra table stability. There is also the potentially ugly aspect of the signature Metal Gear Solid 4th wall breaks. This game really does its absolute best to simulate those moments from the video game, such as the infamous moment a character tells you to look on the back of the CD case to find Meryl's codec frequency. You flip over your case and there it is, a picture of Meryl on the codec screen with her frequency. This was groundbreaking stuff for me in 1999, and my 10-year-old brain was completely blown away by how smart I thought I was to figure it out. The board game does some similar things, and this adds a whole extra layer of fun to this game, peppering hidden codec entries throughout the components. What makes this ugly is that you must keep all the packaging the game came in and keep it safe from any clumsy spills or scratches, or you might lose something important. My advice is do not throw away any packaging, inserts, leaflets, or anything else you received the game in. Maybe even hang on to the cardboard box it was shipped to you in. I half expected to find a codec frequency scrawled under the address label in permanent marker. Speaking of the codec book, while perfectly serviceable, this could have been designed more thematically. Each character, such as the Colonel, could have had their own page with all of their dialogue entries written on it. This way, if the Colonel was on page 2, for example, All codec frequencies to contact him could begin 02 point whatever number, making it more similar to the video game codec, where each character has a designated frequency. It would have also allowed for an image of the codec and the character you are speaking to be printed on the page, adding that extra touch of immersion. So what do I think of Metal Gear Solid the board game? Well, if you haven't guessed, it's not boring at all. Every sneaking stage offers a new challenge, every boss stage a unique set of mechanics. The feeling of the video game truly shines through here, and Cool Mini or not, along with the designer, have truly outdone themselves here. If there is ever a Metal Gear Solid 2, or even better, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater board game, set to be made by this team, I will be emptying my wallet into their account faster than Snake drops a genome soldier in a chokehold. I do love the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and so I might be a touch biased in this review, but if you like Metal Gear Solid, like the idea of stealthy gameplay, don't mind a limited player count, and want to experience 25 years of nostalgia in the making, Metal Gear Solid the board game is definitely worth picking up.
Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, you can subscribe for more.